Hey everyone, pop culture historian Dave Sundstrom here, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the TV show 8 is Enough, in particular, the Bradford sons. First up, I'll talk about Grant Goodeve, follow that one with a video about Willie Aames, and then we'll wrap things up with a short video about the passing of actor Adam Rich. And of course, I'll have a few fun surprises along the way. So with all that said, let's get rolling. Growing up, 8 is Enough was one of my favorite TV shows to watch on ABC. I loved the entire cast, from youngest child Nicholas, played by Adam Rich, to the oldest sibling in the Bradford clan, David, played by Grant Goodeve. In this video, I will do my best to provide an update about what Grant has been doing since the show ended in 1981. But first, let's talk just a little bit about the show itself. As I think back to this beloved TV show, which ran for 5 seasons, the thing that I remember most is just how good it made me feel. I could try to describe it, but maybe it might make sense to share one of the original promos that ran on ABC instead.
America's been waiting for a family show about a real family.
Maybe you're just old-fashioned. Yeah, maybe.
A show that reveals the joys and the sorrows.
You better all dig down and find your pennies, because this family could be in deep financial trouble.
The triumphs and the defeats of real people.
Mary, would you lay off him? He's just trying to do his job.
The Bradfords are the family. 8 is Enough is the show. Right after Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley.
Hold on just a moment there. What's Mark Hamill doing on 8 is Enough? Well, as a struggling actor who had not yet made it big in a certain science fiction flick, Mark was actually cast as David in the pilot. However, when it became painfully obvious that Mark had other things going on that were going to occupy most, if not all, of his time, the role of David was recast, and that's where Grant enters the picture. Along with its talented cast, one of the more memorable things about the show was its theme song, which actually wasn't used until the 3rd season. Well, that's not actually right. The song was performed by Grant himself, and it actually made its debut during the final episode of the 2nd season when his character David performed it on stage. The song itself did not chart here in the US, but it did help establish Grant as a singer. More on that in a moment. But first, I've just got to say that I loved Grant's guest star appearance in a 1983 episode of T.J. Hooker titled Blue Murder. Now there's another great TV show. You got Shatner, Locklear, and that feller from Bachelor Party, and a bunch of great guest stars. How can you go wrong? In addition to T.J. Hooker, Grant showed up on programs like Love Boat and Fantasy Island. In interviews, Grant has said that he really enjoyed working on those shows because he was able to work with some of the legendary actors from an earlier era. He especially enjoyed working with Ricardo Montalban, who told him that he was so grateful to be working that he thanked God every day. Those conversations made a lasting impression on Grant, as you will see in just a minute or two. In 1984, Grant hosted a short-lived Solid Gold spin-off titled Solid Gold Hits. I only vaguely remember this show, but from what I understand, it had the Solid Gold dancers on it, so it couldn't have been that bad. After that, there were stints on shows like Dynasty and on the daytime soap opera One Life to Live. And with each opportunity to work, I am certain that Grant kept in mind Ricardo Montalban's words about giving thanks. It would have been so easy for him to wonder why he wasn't getting bigger leading roles. But instead he developed a reputation within the industry as someone who came to work with a smile on his face and an understanding that each day and each acting opportunity was a gift. And of course there was the obligatory reunion movie. Actually, I think there were 2 of them if I remember correctly. And while I absolutely love Mary Fran, I really think that they should have waited until they were able to get Betty Buckley back. Grant also had a prominent role in the CBS television series Northern Exposure in a handful of episodes during that program's 1st season. Earlier in this video, I mentioned that the 8 is Enough theme song really helped establish Grant as an accomplished singer. So I guess it shouldn't be surprising to anyone that in 1996 Grant released his first, and from what I can tell his only album, titled The Wonder of It All. This recording showcases Grant's firmly held Christian beliefs. More on that in a bit, but let's get back to some of his more recent TV work. In 1998, Grant began hosting a travel show called Northwest Backroads, which ran locally on KING-TV in Seattle for approximately 16 years. Again, not the kind of gig that was going to propel him to superstardom, but it was steady work, and the workplace setting, well, it was pretty darn spectacular. Grant has been married to the love of his life, Deborah, since 1978. Over 4 decades. Holy cow, that is awesome. I have to believe that Grant and Debbie have treated their marriage in the same way that he has treated his career. It's a gift, something not to be taken lightly. Debbie, by the way, is also a singer. Something tells me that these two, regardless of the challenges that life might throw at them, make beautiful music together. Before moving away from the Seattle area, more on that in just a moment, Grant and Debbie were both very active with their Presbyterian church in the area and were often called upon to use their vocal talents to help minister to the local congregation. So like I just said, in 2014, Grant decided to move out of the Northwest and relocate to Atlanta in an effort to further reignite his acting career. And you know what? It seems to have worked. In 2017, Grant landed the role of Walter Lawford during the 3rd season of Twin Peaks. It wasn't a role that got him a ton of screen time, but the program itself, which aired on Showtime instead of ABC this time around, was very well received, and lots of people, once again, were able to see Grant Goodeve doing what he does best. Even more recently, he co-starred with former Duke boy Tom Wopat in a great little movie called County Line. I really enjoyed this film, and you know what? I think that you will as well.
It's all right here on Channel 9.
Wednesday on 8 is Enough, wedding bells ring twice for the Bradfords when Susan marries her pitcher and David weds the girl of his dreams. Then Charlie's Angels keep on trucking to run down some hijackers. And on the season premiere of Vegas, Dan hunts the strip ripper.
If you grew up during the late 70s and early 80s, then this is a face that is certainly familiar to you. Yep, good old Willie Aames. For a while there, this guy just seemed to be everywhere. As a very young actor, Willie landed gigs on TV shows like Gunsmoke and The Odd Couple, but I'm betting that this show is where you probably saw Willie first. 8 is Enough told the story of the Bradford family, and Willie played middle son Tommy on that show, which ran on the ABC TV network for 5 seasons from 1977 to 1981. After that, Willie found himself in a couple of fairly memorable movies that hit the silver screen in 1982. The film that I remember best is Paradise with Phoebe Cates, primarily, well, because it has Phoebe Cates in it, but also because this movie came out shortly after The Blue Lagoon, and it felt somewhat derivative of that film. Willie also teamed up with Scott Baio to star in a little film called Zapped. I've got to admit that to this day I still haven't seen this movie, which also starred the Fall Guys' Heather Thomas. From what I understand, the movie isn't quite as raunchy as the poster would have you believe. Perhaps the best thing that came out of this movie was Willie's partnership with Scott Baio, because a couple of years later he and Scott would team up again, this time on the small screen. Charles in Charge ran for 5 seasons, first on CBS and then later as a first-run syndicated program. On that show, Willie starred as Charles' best friend, Buddy Lembeck. When the show transitioned to syndication, nearly the entire cast of the show was let go. Only Scott and Willie survived the transition from CBS to syndication. After Charles in Charge ended, there was a period of time where Willie really seemed to struggle to find work. However, around the mid-90s, Willie returned to the small screen in a direct-to-video superhero series called Bible Man. I have to believe that Willie was very passionate about this project. Despite his successes, he had also had numerous moments where he felt that he'd hit rock bottom. He struggled with alcoholism and feelings that his life just wasn't worth living. Willie talked about those low moments and so much more in an interview with Entertainment Tonight that the HuffPost reported on in 2010. In that interview, Willie talks about going from the high of making over $1 million a year to the lows of being homeless and sleeping in parks thinking, is this how my life really turns out? Well, the good news, folks, is the answer to that question is a resounding no. Because you see, around 2010, Willie decided to make a career change and get away from all of the chaos that can be the world of show business. So for a good part of the next decade, Willie became a cruise director. As you might imagine, vacationers love to visit with Willie on their cruises, and from everything that I can tell, Willie seemed to enjoy this change of career immensely. And it was while Willie was working as a cruise director that he finally connected with a person who had been a fan and he had been communicating with for years. And when they finally met, well, sparks flew, and before you knew it, the two of them had tied the knot. To this day, their union, which began with a fan letter to Willie decades ago, appears to be going strong. Over the past few years, it would seem that Willie has once again decided to dedicate more of his time to acting. If you're a fan of those Hallmark and Lifetime movies, you may have caught him in a handful of films like Dater's Handbook, Every Christmas Has a Story, and most recently in a film called Love on the Menu. And I have to say, it just feels right to turn on the TV and see a film with Willie in it. Yep, it's darn good to have the man back.
Can Charles stay in charge for 1 hour, 2 half hours, 60 minutes, 3,600?
30 seconds to decide.
It's up to you.
It's up to you.
It's up to you.
It's up to you. Wait! Are you nuts?
Charles will handle it all.
You're saying that somewhere in a galaxy far, far away...
Charles in Charge is an hour long.
Buddy, how come you suddenly know anything?
The Charles in Charge Hour. Tonight, starting at 6:30 on Channel 11.
Heartbreaking news out of Hollywood, folks. It looks like we've lost a major child star from the late 70s and early 80s. I heard about this a few hours ago, but I've waited until I was absolutely sure that it wasn't a hoax. But now all of the major news outlets are reporting that Adam Rich, best known for his portrayal of Nicholas on the classic television series 8 is Enough, has died at the all too young age of 54. At this time, no cause of death has been announced. According to TMZ, the site that first broke the news, Adam died in his Los Angeles home yesterday on Saturday, January 7th. This report has also been confirmed by the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner. Although Adam is best known for his role on 8 is Enough, he was also on many TV shows and television movies throughout the late 70s and early 80s. Some of those credits include Fantasy Island, Small Wonder, Code Red, Chips, the animated series Dragons and Dungeons, for which he did some voice acting. During the early 90s, Adam fell on hard times and was actually charged with attempted robbery, and it was his television dad, Dick Van Patten, who posted bail for him. Speaking of Mr. Van Patten, here is a great photo of Adam and the rest of the Bradford clan during much, much happier times.
Our circus was in Atlanta and I was feeding Mongo, our 400-pound gorilla. I got too close and Mongo grabbed my Timex. He put it on. He beat the watch. He tore the band. He bit on it. Then he started throwing it. He jumped on it and kept it soaking in his mouth for over 30 minutes. The watch fell between the bars and I got it out. Surprisingly, it was ticking and still is. A Timex.
Timex, it takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
On Charlie's Angels, a gangland Casanova falls hard for Kelly, but it's a downhill affair for her. Then, Ronnie Blakely guest stars on Vegas as a troubled rock star marked for assassination. After 8 is Enough and Charlie's Angels.
Wednesday starting at 8, 7 Central and Mountain on ABC.
You didn't have to do it, but you did. So thank you very much for your support, for your support, for your support. Thank you very much for your support. Click on that thumbnail 'cause it's time to go. Dave's got the classics, let the memories flow. TV shows and movies that we all hold so dear. On his YouTube channel, he's keeping memories near. Dave Sundstrom, bringing back the good stuff, oh yeah.